Everybody, thanks for coming to our panel. I am Matt Denniston, one of the founders of Sitka Technology Group. And by way of brief introduction, my background is in human factors engineering, which means I spend time in the fold where humans and computers meet. My career started many years ago at Intel, and then worked at a number of small tech companies, and then about 13 years ago, decided to really focus on designing and building systems, knowledge infrastructures for conservation, restoration, and sustainable development. That means I work a lot in the public sector, where the context might be an ecosystem, a watershed, or a metropolitan area. We do a lot of work here in Portland and up and down the West Coast. But today, we're not going to feature demos or geek out too much on the tech. While that might be fun, one of the things that we've learned is that the crux of helping organizations achieve greater accountability and transparency is not generally a clever technology solution. The crux is working with organizations to understand their goals and strategies and get those aligned with the resources within their organization as well as their partners that they engage to do their work. And so today on the panel we'll have talk about a couple programs that have realized some pretty significant improvements in the way their organizations connect with their partners and achieve what they need to do on the ground. So we'll dig into a little bit of how those programs accomplish that and what they learned along the way. We'll get further into a timeline of what we've been up to later in the presentation, but for a brief context, the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency had a need to do a better job tracking all the projects within their environmental improvement program, and so they put an RFP out in 2013-ish, and we responded and started to work on that. So it's been in use for a number of years, just about entering the fourth annual reporting cycle where all their partners go in and update their projects and propose new projects. And about a couple years into it, after some pretty good success and some rapid adoption, TRPA and Sitka realized that this is a pattern, this is an approach and a tool that can be leveraged. It should be leveraged by other folks, and so TRPA put an open source license on it and we began to work to extract the kind of common elements within that tool and start to make it available to others. And so Brittany here is from the Resource Conservation District, one of the Resource Conservation Districts down in California, and she's one of the organizations that have started to leverage that, so she'll talk a little about what she's done there. So that's a little bit of the background. The main benefits that TRPA was looking for out of this program was to do a better job tracking their funding and accomplishments, to improve their ability to tell the stories about the work that they're doing to both their local citizens as well as folks at the state and national legislature, and then to facilitate their partners. Gene will talk a little bit more about it, but they've got 50 partners that they rely on to do the work to restore the environmental areas and recreation areas around the Lake Tahoe area. And then last, to enable strategic planning at a multi-agency level, which is, as you guys all know, is a pretty challenging thing to do. So one of their goals was to establish a baseline and a platform to support those kind of conversations, starting with what kind of work are we doing and where's it happening, what are we getting for it. So with that, let me introduce our panelists today. Jean is a principal planning analyst with Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. Tahoe Regional Planning Agency is a bi-state agency that is charged with regional planning, development oversight, regulatory enforcement, and implementing environmental protection and restoration projects around the lake. Its partners include the many small communities around the lake, federal agencies, state and local governments, tribes, nonprofits, and private firms, such as the Tahoe's world-famous ski resorts. And so Jean's been with TRPA for 18 years, doing a wide range of capacities. We know her as the motive force behind some pretty significant changes that TRPA has realized to use information to make better decisions. City planning is not only her passion and career, but also her partner's. He's a planner for the city of South Lake Tahoe. Jean loves working and living in the mountains, be they up in British Columbia where she grew up, or down in Tahoe. I often joke that Jean sure knows how to pick beautiful places to live and work. Jean has a degree in geography from the University of British Columbia. Next up, we'll hear from John Henry Burns. John is a product owner for Sitka Technology Group, and he manages our efforts with the Lake Tahoe Info platform that you'll hear more about. He also is playing a key role in rolling out and helping other organizations tap into the open source license that I referenced. Organizations like the California Resource Conservation Districts and the Clackamas Partnership, which is a local organization in the Willamette Valley here. So John has worked with government agencies and natural resource on watershed health projects for the last 15 years. He's worked as a civil engineer for the city of Portland and their Bureau of Environmental Services, where he was instrumental in the analysis and modeling of the city of Portland's Big Pipe project, which is a project to deal with the combined sewer overflows and help protect the Willamette River. John loves putting a hard day's work in on his family's hazelnut farm, just a few miles south of here in the Willamette Valley, and enjoys taking his 1- and 3-year-old boys out to various corners of his local watershed. John has a degree in computer engineering from Oregon State University and a master's in environmental engineering from Oregon Graduate Institute. And then we'll hear from Brittany Jensen, and Brittany is the executive director for the Gold Ridge Resource Conservation District. Quick background: conservation districts were established by the USDA back at the end of the Dust Bowl era, and with the idea of working with local communities to voluntarily conserve, protect, and restore our nation's natural resources. Conservation district staff provide technical assistance, educational programs, monitoring and assessment services, and grant funding to help land managers meet their conservation goals. So Brittany's been with Gold Ridge for 12 years and has spent a lot of time really working to build partnerships and capacity within her own RCD and her neighboring RCDs. Brittany is an ocean-going native of Southern California, but is now firmly rooted in Western Sonoma County, where she's called home for the last 15 years. She works as a farmhand on her husband's 6th-generation sheep farm, and also runs a 10-acre farm out of her home. And if you check out rcdprojects.org, you can see there's a picture with a quintessential red barn and a quintet of goats. Those are Brittany's goats, one of our favorite photos on the site. Brittany has a degree in environmental studies and biology from Sonoma State University. So with that, Jean's going to kick it off and talk about the LTFO platform.